All right, guys, welcome to the third and final installment of this year's Advent Calendar series. Today, we will be opening up days 19 through 24, so sit back, maybe get some eggnog, and let's get dialed in. All right, so we'll be starting with day 19, and in day 19, we have, looks like a Christmas-colored mouse droid. All right, interesting. All right, folks, and there we have it, a Christmas-themed mouse droid. This is a pretty cool little build. It's not anything that's like super extraordinary or like over-the-top extravagant, but it's a nice little build, and it fits perfectly with the theme of this being Babu Frick's Droid Workshop and, of course, it being Christmas time. So for that reason, I'm going to give this a B rating. I think this is probably one of the stronger builds we've gotten as far as likeness goes. And overall, I just think this is pretty decent, so I'm going to give it a B. All right, folks, now moving on to day 20. And in day 20, we have a B2 Super Battle Droid. All right. All right, folks, and there we have it, a B2 Super Battle Droid. Overall, this is a nice little figure to get. Nothing, special about it. I do know in the normal sets, they come with like a cannon arm also, which would have been nice to get today, but I don't know if they still make that. But when I was a kid, they did make those. So that would have been nice to get, but alas, here we are. Overall, not too much to say about this. The molding is pretty good. I do feel like there might be a little more detail on this than the ones that they made when I was a kid, so props to them for that. But overall, nothing about this is super extravagant. So I'm going to give this a B-. This was a really cool thing to get. All right, now moving on to day 21. And in day 21, we have... This looks like some kind of a probe droid. Interesting. All right, folks, and there we have it. Some kind of a probe droid. I really am not sure if that's what this is, but that's just what it looks like from my apparently limited Star Wars knowledge. Overall, this was definitely one of the more intricate builds that we had in this calendar. And I just think that this was an interesting kind of detour from some of the more basic stuff we've built, like, bins full of parts. So for that reason, I'm going to give this a C+. Not quite outstanding, because I do feel like it might be missing just a little something. But overall, it was nice to stray from the norm. All right, folks, moving on to day 22. And in day 22, we have... barely came open. But we have, it looks like some kind of a droid that almost looks like a Christmas tree, but not quite. All right, folks, and there we have it, some kind of a droid. I don't know why, but I really like this one. I have no clue what it's based on or what it's supposed to be exactly, but I just really like this. It might be the colors, might be the way it kind of looks like a little guy with a hat on, but overall, this is a cool little build. And I think I'm going to give it a B. I mean, maybe I'm just kind of in the Christmas spirit today, so I don't want to judge anything too harshly, but this is, pretty good. We're definitely straying away from the realms of spare parts and things aren't like, horrible. So maybe that's why I'm just being nice. But overall, this is a cool build and I'm going to give it a B. All right, folks, now moving on to our second to last day, day 23. And in day 23, we have... this looks like a piece of the workshop. Interesting. All right, folks, and there we have it. This is another piece of the workshop, and again, on its own, very underwhelming, but as we're getting to the close, I am really just starting to think of what all this will look like together, so I'm not going to judge this too harshly, and I'm going to give this a C rating. I do like the molding on the barrel piece. I do think that it's nice little details on there with the band around it. And even the shovel's kind of cool. So overall, though, we're going to give this a C rating. And I am interested to see if I can build a droid with all these like spare droid-like parts we're getting. All right, folks, moving on to our final day of this calendar. Let's hope we can end strong. And in day 24, we have a BB droid unit and a Christmas tree. Awesome. All right, folks, and there we have it. A BB-8 type droid and a little Christmas tree thing. Overall, the Christmas tree piece doesn't really blow me away, although the star is definitely a good touch. But this BB-8 type droid is actually really cool. I'm not 100% certain that this white BB-8 is exclusive to this, but I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it is. It also looks a little more like snow, I feel like, than the normal BB-8 droid. Like, just some of the detailing. So, overall, this is really good. I kind of wish I had another BB-8 handy to check and compare it to, but I don't, sadly. But, alas, overall, this is really good and was a perfect way, in my opinion, to close out the calendar. And for that reason, I'm gonna give Day 24 an S rating. This is, in my opinion, one of the best things we've gotten in this calendar. And yeah, let's try and review everything we got and see how it all looks together. All right, folks, and there we have it. Babu Frick's Droid Workshop in its entirety. I think my favorite thing that we got was either the Christmas sweater Jawa or this little BB-8 snowman. But overall, this was a pretty nice thing. If I were to give a letter rating for it all, I think I would give it a B. There were a lot of things in the beginning that I did not like, but that was kind of before I realized that this would all come together like this into being, you know, Babu Frick. Good old lovable Babu Frick's Droid Workshop. So overall, I think this will get a B rating. I don't think this is necessarily the best calendar that we've ever gotten, but I do think this was pretty good and would be worth your money if you were to have bought it. Another cool thing, with the spare parts, I was able to build a miscolor B1 battle droid, so that was pretty nifty. But overall, this was a lot of fun, and I'd like to thank everyone who supports these videos. I know it's not what any of you subscribe for, or maybe it is, but more than likely not. So I really do appreciate those of you who watch these, and they just really help me to, you know, get into the Christmas spirit even when times might not be the greatest. So again, thank you to everyone. I hope you all had a very Merry Christmas, and I will see you all on the next one. Peace.